Shalom. So today we're going to talk about Eden, the presence, garden of God's consciousness. Now we're going to look at 4 different aspects of this video. It might be long, so I might have to put it in different episodes, right? So the first thing we're going to look at is the temple and the altar of God. And when I say God, I use this word for a particular purpose or reason. We in this culture have different perceptions of that one word, but in this context, I'm referring to reality, right? Meaning the unchangeable reality, not the perceived one, right? The next thing we're going to look at is Yahweh and the 4 elements, how he pervades them all, right? The next thing we're going to look at is the 4 rivers that was mentioned in this Garden of Eden that was sent out through the lands, right? And the other part we're going to look at is also the land of Eden where this man was placed. What does it represent, right? So we're going to see all of this in the consciousness of the human being. So let's start with the temple and the altar of God. So when we're dealing with temple, what comes to our mind, right? When we're dealing with altar, what comes to our mind? Okay, remember, Moses was asked to make a pattern of what he saw in the heaven. So when you read the book of Revelation, chapter 11, when it talks about the heavens opened and they saw the ark of the testimony, that was the actual heaven. What Moses saw and made was a pattern. So let's look at what the temple actually looks like, right? You have 3 areas. You have here where the general congregation would be. This is where the body would be. Now, over here, you have the holy place. So the priest would come in here. You have the incense. You have the incense, the shewbread, the menorah. Right? This is the holy place. And then you have a veil here. And this veil is very important. Right? The curtain here. Then you go into the Holy of Holies, or the most holy place, right? And inside here is where the Ark of the Testimony is, right? So what we're seeing here is you have this general area where the assembly is, the body of the Most High, the body of the Messiah. Here you have the holy place, and here you have the Holy of Holies. This is synonymous to how we are, right? Because you have the spirit here, you have the mind where all the thoughts flow through, and then you have the body. The body is just an extension of the mind. This is why whatever beliefs you have or you hold, whether conscious or unconscious or subconscious, you are more likely to manifest it, right? So this is why sometimes you don't know about this part of you because it's dormant until a situation presents itself. And the way you behave, you're surprised, right? So this is what it's talking about. Now, you have here where this is from where you can see everything that goes on. This is where you stand as a witness. And in order for you to be a witness, you have to have one particular function or trait, and that is to be unbiased. So in this place, when you're in that spirit of truth, guess what? There's no preference there. There are no preferences. So you're not swayed by what you like and what you don't like. Everything is just based on truth. So this is the ultimate place where you have to abide. Because in here, things can be altered. Your thoughts might change about how you feel about this today. And tomorrow you feel a different way. These places can be altered. Your mind and your body, they're constantly changing. You have different thoughts, different feelings, different perceptions, different impulses. Right? So This is how the temple looks, and this is how it relates to us. And this is where we need to abide. This is where the true home is, because here you have the Ark of the Covenant, right? And inside of it, you have the testimony. It's the same with your spirit, your consciousness. What is inside of it is the knowledge of the law, and that is what feeds you. And then you get into that fountain of living waters, that life that the Bible talks about, right? So this is water flowing internally, nourishing everything. It's like a tree planted by the rivers. What happens? The root is constantly being fed. So it's strong and mighty. That's when you are established in the law of the Most High. It's a constant feeding process. Now, this is what this looks like. So let's say you have the mind, and we know that the mind is limited, right? It's finite. But the spirit is infinite. So this would be like what the spirit is. So the mind is a small portion, limited, confined, inside all of this consciousness, right? In Proverbs chapter 20, verse 27, it says, the spirit of a man is a small candle to the Most High. So imagine you have this big fire, right? The Most High. And then you take a small fire and merge it. That small fire will be gone. This is what our minds are like, our thoughts are like when it comes to His consciousness. Our thoughts are to be dissolved in the knowledge of the law. So if you used to think that this is a pen, when you get into the knowledge of the Most High, it replaces the thought about this being a pen, and you understand, oh, it's a marker. And this is what it means to subdue your own understanding. Right? So, from here, where the priest would go in, get the word of the Most High, and come back out with it, it's the same way it functions with, let me write in here, the mind and the spirit. Right? Now this is imaginary. It's not a wall that is there that is making this separation. It's just a veil. Right? So when knowledge springs from the spirit into this region here, we call it what? Intuition. It is Him speaking to you. He communicates with your spirit, not your mind and your body. This is corrupted. This is the mind and the body is corrupt. He cannot dwell there. And this is why sometimes we have a hard time discerning, because guess what? Intuition, let me write it here. Intuition happens here, but what is the adversary to this? You know what else speaks to you? Speak to us. On the other hand, on the left hand side, you have insecurities. And how do you know that? The same way the intuition speaks to you, it gives you that feeling in your gut, right? Lets you know that, hey, this is about to happen, or this is close to happen, or something similar, right? The spirit is giving you a warning. However, on the other hand, there is insecurities that speak to you through the same door. It speaks to the gut feeling, so you already feel as if something's going to happen to you. But it's just insecurities. It's not the divine that is communicating. So this is why we have to always discern the vices. If we don't discern the vices, we don't know who we are serving. A lot of us confuse these two sometimes. And guess what? You experience that here in the body. In the gut. That's where you get that feeling. Right? So yes, this is how it works. So information flows both ways. It comes from the spirit to here, and from here to here. And so you get to do what? You get to analyze. This is why we have an intellect. Let me put it here, intellect. What is the function of this? Discern, analyze, process. Right? So how does it work? If a thought comes to you, what we usually do, because of mind and body, because of this relationship, what we do is the thought comes and we make a decision. Not you, the conscious being. Let me put spirit over here. Not you, the aware being, making that decision, but mind and body, what's happening there, right? It is prompting you, it manipulates the ego into taking actions. And this is why usually after those decisions are made, guess what? You end up with a feeling of regret. Now you regret that you said that. Now you regret that you did this. So discerning is always important. But this can get shut out the way when your mind and your body come together and they cloud it with thoughts. You cannot analyze, you cannot discern anymore. You are overwhelmed by dark thoughts. So when you are opened, guess what? When you receive something from the external world, say somebody tells you something that is contrary to what you believe, when you are open enough, you can receive that. It goes into your spirit and you do all that discerning, all that processing takes place. When the pride is involved, guess what? This is so thick, nothing can pass through. So you cannot even process it. You already make a decision. Your mind is fixed on what you hold to be true. Like the people, they were so fixed on what the Messiah should look like. They're expecting him to come. They fixed their mind on what he should look like or how he should behave. So when he comes, guess what? Pride would not allow them to see him, to perceive that he is that man that they're expecting. They will even destroy that very thing, destroy the very person that they were waiting for. Because what? That fixed belief. Now the fixed belief, guess what? An identity is created behind that belief. When you're dealing with a temple, right? It is corrupted. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 9 and verse 15. It says, "For the corruptible body presseth down the soul, and the earthly tabernacle weigh down the mind that museth upon many things." So it's the same thing. The mind and the body, when they come together, guess what? It destroys your ability to discern. It overpowers you. It weakens you. So you want to know why people go into depression sometimes? For this very reason. You are no longer certain of ahead. What is ahead? You're only here in this present situation, in this current situation, in this moment, and guess what? All these negative thoughts coming in. Now you are just stuck, locked inside your room, inside your bed, doing nothing. You don't even have the ability to get up, to go and eat, to go and shower, to go and do anything. This is how powerful thoughts can be. Very overwhelming, very draining. Right? So the body and the mind, they are corruptible. The Most High does not dwell there. Matter of fact, let's get that in the book of Acts. In the book of Acts chapter 7 and verse 48, it says, Howbeit the Most High dwelleth not in temples made with hands, as saith the prophet. When you get into the structure of this, guess what? It is made after your mother and your father. The Most High does not dwell there. Your mind and your body, it comes from this. The Hebrew word dam. Sounds familiar yet? Now, what about if I add the at the beginning? Adam. Guess what? This does not come from their mother and their father. This is the this is the Most High Himself. So you have the spirit descends from the Most High, the dam, the blood, everything you inherited from mother and father. That is your mind and your body. The way you think, the way you perceive, the way you feel, the beliefs, all of those accumulated from mother and father. Now the only thing that can be set apart is the spirit. That's the only place where He dwells. Not here. Now the Messiah asked, which one is greater? The altar, the gift, or the altar that sanctifies the gift? Which one is greater? So it's always going to go back to this. Right? So when you're dealing with the altar, right? When you're dealing with the altar, say this is the altar for your offering, right? And you place on it a gift for offering. Which one is greater? The gift or the altar? So this is your ultimate altar. It's not made with hands. It's not made with hands. Now, what can you sacrifice? What do you offer upon this altar? When you go to the throne room and the altar of the Most High, what do you place? What gifts do you place there? Can you go and bring 1/10 of your crops to give to the Most High? No, He gave that to you. How can you give me something that I give to you? You're going to give it back to me as a gift. That does not make any sense. Can you go and give a portion of your land as a gift to the Most High when He gave it to you? Can you go and give Him the firstlings of your animals as a gift when He was the one that increased them and caused them to multiply? No. You can only offer something that belongs to you. You know what belongs to you? Let us go to the book of John chapter 3 and verse 3. It says, Jesus answered and said unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God. Meaning what? You have to circumcise. Right? It says, that which is born of the flesh is of the flesh. That which is born of the flesh is of the flesh. So you know what your offerings are going to be on the altar? Guess what? Your anger, because it belongs to you. Your sadness. Your depression. Your anxiety. Your confusion. Your pride. All of these are of the flesh and they belong to you. That is why it says, that which is born of the flesh is of the flesh. all of these belong to here, mind and body, right? So there are two ways to fix these, right? You can try to fix them one by one, which takes forever, or you can take a short route. If you place one specific thing on the altar, which is the ego, and I'm not talking about pride here. This is not talking about pride. I'm talking about the fact that we keep thinking that we are the mind and the body instead of this. We keep thinking that we are the dam instead of thinking that we are the ah. You are the being that is aware. You are the consciousness. So when you stop thinking that you are this body and your thoughts and you are your feelings and you are your perceptions and you are your philosophies, guess what? When you can sacrifice all of this on the altar, then all this will go with it. So this here would be the root. This is the disease in the flesh. All of these are what? Symptoms. Fixing each of these will not fix this. It's like a person trying to fix the sugar instead of the diabetes. It's going to come again and come again and come again because the disease is still in the flesh. So our true offerings is when we start to give up our offer. When it says present your body as a living sacrifice, this is what it's talking about. What are you giving up that belongs to you as an offering? What is your sacrifice? He doesn't want the blood of animals. He doesn't want your first fruits. What are you giving up? We have to give it up. We have to give up the ego as our offering, as our true sacrifice. We have to crucify this and nail it to the cross. And do what? Be born again. This is when you are circumcised. This is when you can partake of His grace, His compassion, His mercy. This is what it means to circumcise your heart. You cannot circumcise your heart and you're still dwelling in this part of you as a person. When you circumcise your heart, you dwell here. Here. The consciousness where His presence is. He is not present here. It is corrupted. And the Most High will not allow you to defile Him. In the book of the Maccabees, they defile the temple. But they cannot defile this. This is just a pattern. They cannot defile the actual thing. It's the same way your spirit is pure. It's holy. It is set apart. It is sanctified. However, your mind and your body is the corruption. And it needs to be cleansed. So this is one aspect of the presence of the Most High's consciousness. Shalom.